That was a solid rush. It's a good thing that it ended, but this is Friday and Saturday in a row.
Why would Kaylee's sister, Olivia, be so intrigued by this comment? She commented this yesterday. Today is December 3rd. JS refers to the hooded man in the video, the same person who is willing to post the following photos on social media and lived in the apartments next to the girls. Exact knife type they are looking for, 2 of them in fact. He was also kicked out of his fraternity for anger issues and kicked out of the corner club for being weird to girls. Pause to read. The term GeoSnap is a Snapchat setting that allows your location to be untraceable. His only alibi is that he took off to his parents' cabin 5 hours away. I believe the police say not believe to be involved at this time is to try to trick him.
What's up, iCkEdMeL? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for stopping by. A couple of things that we got to talk about, crazy updates from police, things that Kaylee's father has said, and I put those clips from the beginning there to give you some context about what we're going to be talking about and who he's talking about. So that TikTok channel is Crime Among Us. I'll put the link down below. And there's this new article that has come out. Kaylee's father spoke with the New York Post. It says, dad of slain Idaho student Kaylee turns to PIs as cops too inexperienced. The grieving father of murdered University of Idaho student Kaylee is working with his own private investigators, which I don't blame him, because he fears cops in the major case are too inexperienced, which the only thing that people have brought up, though, is that the FBI is involved. How much can a PI really help? Steve raised his fears Sunday in an exclusive interview with the Post, saying he was also concerned that one suspicious character had been ruled out too quickly, seemingly allowing him to flee the country without taking a DNA test. If that's true, I mean, I don't know. That's pretty wild and crazy. People have been pointing at this guy. People have been looking at him. People have been pulling up that picture of the hunting stuff, which hunting is not uncommon out there, you know, but people are digging and pulling this stuff up. And people are also pointing out this guy's behaviors at the food truck, which I've read some comments on Reddit, and I've heard women talking about this, that sometimes guys will follow them from the club, kind of hovering over them. I don't know if they're trying to look over them or protect them or whatever, but they don't kind of get the hint and they keep following and hovering. And maybe that was the situation in this case, where they get there and this guy's just still there, and it seems like they're purposely ignoring him and he's still just hanging around. And I think it was Maddie turns around and it seems like she says F you. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And it could be nothing, and police, I guess, have ruled this out, but everybody's just back at this. And now with this, the father's comments, you know, people are just kind of like, And I have a crazy update too with the police, which I feel like police are almost directly talking to the dad without talking to the dad. They're talking to him without talking to him. It says there he lashed out at the lack of leads coming from cops who backtracked on the claims that the killer appeared to be targeting at least one of the 4 roommates and have yet to even suggest a profile of the likely slasher. One of the murder squad officers is only 26, he complained, meaning he was only 19 when the sleepy city of Moscow last had a slaying in 2015. They're just so inexperienced, and I don't want anyone making mistakes in my child's case, the father said, also blasting the officers as not exactly the most tech-savvy people. As well as his own fears, Goncalves said started working with private investigators because there were enough insiders telling us we should be concerned about the lack of any clear leads in the November 13 murders of his 21-year-old daughter and her 3 friends. I talked to detectives, he said, making clear he was keeping away from internet sleuths whom he dismissed as Hollywood-ish. One of the private detectives I talked to has 50 years in the game, he said, of his outside help. That gumshoe told him that he had to break cases when there wasn't DNA, suggesting younger cops rely on it too much, We're trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, he said, of police investigators. The grieving dad still hopes cops will be heroes and prove him wrong by ultimately emerging with breakthroughs that solve the case. I'll apologize. I'll come out and say these guys had amazing DNA or some evidence, and good for them. I was giving them ish, and I take it back. I'd love to be wrong, and we can get this guy, he told the Post. Goncalves said he is only speaking out because of his alarm at the lack of leads, including the refusal to release an official profile of the likely slasher on the November 13th attack. That would give all these other girls that are walking around the community somebody to look out for, Goncalves said. Don't make more victims, he warned. He also admitted that he fears that a hoodie-wearing man spotted lingering near his daughter and her best friend Madison, also 21, was ruled out too quickly for killing the pair and their two friends. Some people came to us and said that he's out of the country and he didn't take a DNA test. So we would like police to tell us what his alibi was, he said, saying he would be able to move on if they could confirm it was solid. Vague, mixed messaging on whether the killer likely targeted at least one of the four roommates and why could also lead to a dangerously false sense of security, he warned. I've heard people talk to reporters and say that they'd be way more scared if it wasn't targeted, he noted. Some people think that means the victims were gambling, or they were doing drugs, or they were doing something that really made the killer come after them, he said, of the lack of info. My message is, I think having a couple of beers with your girlfriend, going home, texting, and crashing out in the bed together, I think a lot of girls did that. He said of his daughter and Mogen, who were sleeping in the same bed in the third-floor bedroom when they were killed. And a lot would be targeted if that's all they did. Now, this leads me to the next portion with targeting. We've been talking about targeting for the last couple of days. And Kaylee's father had recently now said that Kaylee was the one that had the more brutal stabbings or attacks. And that's between Kaylee and Maddie that were sleeping in the same bed together. No talk about Xana or Ethan. We don't really know. And I want to play this clip for you, and then I want to show you the police's new response today.
New details that we have just confirmed. News Nation is learning that Kaylee Goncalves' injuries were significantly more brutal than her best friend Maddie's injuries, which may end up being a very, very important piece of evidence when it comes to determining who the target was in this attack.
Now, the police have come out today with some significant clarifications or updates, and I believe this is in response to, I believe, the father and things that are going around, but you guys tell me. It says, there have been statements and speculation about this case, victim injuries, cause of death, evidence collection and processing, and investigative techniques. With the active criminal investigation, law enforcement has not released additional facts to the family or the public. We recognize the frustration this causes and the speculation proliferates in the absence of facts. However, we firmly believe speculation and unvetted information is a disservice to the victims, their families, and our community. The Moscow Police Department is committed to providing information whenever possible, but not at the expense of compromising the investigation and prosecution. Now, I wanted to show you guys this clip. Samantha sent me this video, and it's really interesting what this guy had to say about the potential effects that Kaylee's father could be having on the case. And again, I understand, like, you know, I couldn't imagine as a dad and like being frustrated and if you feel things are going cold. But check out what this guy had to say.
Of death between their daughter and her friend. Joining us now for more is former FBI agent and former Navy SEAL Jonathan Gilliam. Jonathan, welcome back to Wake Up America. So let's start with that. What conflicting means of death mean? Autopsy results are already out. The father of one of those students says the points of damage don't match. What does he mean by this, you think?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know what this guy means. I'm going to take a little bit of a turn on this because this individual, Stephen Gonzalez, I always butcher his last name. He's doing an interview. It seems like every 4 to 8 hours, and many of these different news agencies are putting what he has to say all over the airwaves, and they're not looking at the totality of the things that this guy says. He himself, not law enforcement, he says conflicting things constantly. And he says things that are very odd over and over again. I've worked a lot of different cases. I spoke to a lot of different law enforcement. In fact, one police officer who was a mayor of a town in Springfield and a 20-year police officer reached out to me yesterday and said he's never seen anyone that seemed like they have committed a homicide more than Mr. Goncalves. Now that's something when we're looking at his statements that he is consistently making to the media.
Wow. That's crazy to I don't know.
And the media is overlooking the fact that he is saying things, and I have some of the things that he says right here. He says that that nobody in the room, that it was fast and nobody suffered. Right?
Yeah.
Yo, I literally had a conversation with Silvio about that. Literally, I'm gonna send him. He was literally like, because Silvio was like telling me like, how would he know that? Like, how would he know something like that?
There's been
How would
no
he know
report
that?
on them. He's also said that he's just going to say it. This is a quote from Kaylee's dad. I'm just going to say it. It was leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I sent my daughter to college. She came back in a box. He went to when they had their service for all the four slain and made jokes and talked about the lighting. I mean, this individual is bothering me and many people very much. And if it,
I mean, the lighting thing, when I saw that, yo, I mean, it's a tense thing, nervous. I mean, I don't know. I didn't take it like that. I think even the other parents had made some type of like to try to lighten the mood type of thing.
at the very least, he is causing law enforcement more problems, I think, than anything else.
And I've had this conversation with friends too. I definitely don't think cops are happy with him, for sure. Like they're probably, and I think that's why that police release came out today.
Yeah, again, it's definitely confusing. I've heard him on these interviews say those things. Jonathan had read that. You wonder if he's a parent and grieving, if that's what he's going through. But definitely interesting. He also said something that caught my eye, that the killer chose to go upstairs. So want to remind our viewers of the home. So it's a 3-level home. The main entrance is actually like the basement area, and then you go up the second floor. That's where a couple of the bedrooms were, and then you go to the third floor where there were other bedrooms. So he's saying, this father, that the killer went up that second floor and went through the sliding glass door. Have you heard any police reports saying that that was how the killer entered the home?
We've heard no definitive police reports that say that, although I do believe that is correct. I think when you look at the two individuals, the two females that were in the first floor, and that first floor opens up into a common living room type space. I guess there's bedrooms there, and those go upstairs. It's almost like a second apartment.
Yeah.
And the second floor has its own main area, and then there's the third floor. This Mr. Goncalves, he continues to push out there details about this crime that nobody really knows about. We do know that people were killed on the second and the third floor. I personally have never heard any reports where they were saying that that there was different types of attacks and ferocity amongst the different victims. The only person that said that is this same individual. And in the way that he talks about how his daughter and the other girl that was with her were sleeping in the same bed. That information was not released until he said it.
Back to today's updates. And so one of the things they said here, detectives continue investigating what occurred from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13th, when Ethan and Xana were believed to be at the Sigma Chi House on the University of Idaho campus 735. Any interactions, contacts, direction, and method of travel, or anything abnormal can add to context to what occurred. And so this is the big time gap that we've all been talking about. What happened between these times? And a lot of people have also been talking about, like, there's really hasn't been much focus on Xana and Ethan and what happened there. The other thing as well, we can scroll down to where they talk about the stalker, the big situation here. So the stalker, they finally addressed it. They finally talked about this. And so it says here, using tips and leads, investigators have identified an incident involving Kaylee at a local business, which may have been the stalker reference she made to friends and family. In mid-October, 2 males were seen inside a local business. They parted ways, and one male appeared to follow Kaylee inside the business as she exited to walk toward her car. The male turned away, and it did not appear he made any contact with her. Detectives contacted both males and learned the two were attempting to meet women at the business. This was corroborated through additional investigation. Based on available information, detectives believe this was an isolated incident and not an ongoing pattern of stalking. No evidence suggests the two males were involved in the murders. Investigators continue looking into information about Kaylee having a stalker. Information about a potential stalker or unusual occurrences should go through the tip line. Now, the other thing they talk about is the dog. There have been numerous requests about the dog found at the residence on the morning of November 13. Arriving officers entered the residence and found the deceased victims. During the search of the home, a dog was found in a room where the crimes had not occurred. And a lot of people talked about the dog was full of blood, the dog didn't bark, the dog, has evidence or whatever, or the dog, everything. Officers did not find any evidence on the dog, and there was no indication the animal had entered the crime scene. The dog was taken to animal services and released to a responsible person. While the dog was in the house when officers arrived, it has not been determined where the dog was physically located when the murders took place. And it just goes on to say that there's no suspect at this time, and you should only follow vetted information that does not hinder the investigation. Comment on below, let me know your thoughts. Please hit the like button, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, check out the channel sponsor, links down below, swag it, enter to win $500 at the end of the month. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Take care of yourselves and peace. Bloop, 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 bloop.